Hello YouTube, how's it going? Welcome to another video on the channel. Remember to like and sub on this video, share it with your friends. I do appreciate it. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs so I can monetize this channel. So, video game releases have hit the tanker recently. This year we've seen The Last of Us Part 1 on PC, Jedi Survivor, and now Redfall. Now, I know I sound like a bit of a boomer. I'm doing a video on why game journalism is dying. I know, hot topic, but one of my points was that games simply do not release in the same condition as they once did. Like, trust is one of the biggest issues that people just don't trust game journalists for because they feel like content creators are more valid in their criticism, which I can see. Like, I'm not trying to argue one side or the other. Both sides can be in the wrong there. But when it comes to Redfall, it's one of the things that both content creators and critics can universally attest that this game was not ready. It is bland, it is uninspired, and it is broken. Now, back in the day, when you bought a game like for the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo, the games generally worked. Yeah, back on the Atari, there were major glitches, but for the most part, I would say the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, when a game released, because gaming became a very popular hobby, granted, it was still directed towards children, specifically boys, because in Toys R Us and other toy stores, there was always a separation between girls and boys, so they had to adhere for that in the Western countries. But either way, games released essentially fixed because they know if it was broken, there was no online patches, no anything you can do. People would return the game to their store and you would basically lose out on the sale because companies would stop ordering the game if they got too many returns. It's just common sense. Nowadays, it's become commonplace to release games broken and then fix them later. One of the biggest examples of this is the Call of Duty franchise. Every time a new Call of Duty game releases, usually it's broken, the multiplayer, and they take at least a year to fix the game and supplement the content into the game that feels lackluster in comparison. And Redfall is definitely one of these games. Bethesda's reputation officially tanked when Fallout 76 released. Like, that was the most notorious fuck up from their company. And essentially, since then, the company has been trying to get the good graces of their customers back. Yes, Fallout 76 has improved since then, but no one remembers the game for what it is now. They remember it for when it launched, despite what Todd Howard said about what it becomes. Yes, people have a better sight of games like No Man's Sky, which is one of the biggest examples of a huge turnaround. They look at it as, hey, this game made it, now other games can do that. It's just a really poor example. It's like back in my day when people said Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, these people made it. They never went to college. They were super smart. You're not those people, and you're not No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky was literally lightning in the bottle. Heck, you can even make the argument for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Final Fantasy 14 is also an example, but they literally took the sledgehammer option, destroyed all copies of the original game, and restarted the game as a Realm Reborn, and now it's one of the most popular MMOs out there. There are always going to be examples, but this just keeps happening. Now, I've played about 5 hours of Redfall, and I can say for a fact the game is not worth your time. I hate the argument that people say, oh, 10 hours down the line it gets better. If you have to invest 10 hours into a game, it's not worth your time, especially when you're an adult. When you're an adult, you kind of need to invest your time much more adequately. It also doesn't help that in today's landscape, you have so many options. Like, Redfall is basically discount Borderlands at its core. It has everything that Borderlands already has and more. Like, Redfall just doesn't succeed in any aspects that Borderlands, heck, even Destiny 2, which is a free-to-play game. You can download Destiny 2 for free, and you'll have a massively better experience. There's no drop-in, drop-out co-op. The world is incredibly bland. Like, the story of this game is that vampires have taken over this town, and you have to fight back against them. It sounds like a pretty fun idea, and this is coming from Arkane Studios, the guys behind Dishonored, one of the best action stealth adventures of all time. It's a steampunk, post-apocalyptic, technically, from Dishonored 1 with dark fantasy elements. It's one of the best games ever made. You can play those games endlessly and have different experience each time with many different story routes. And technically, there are 3 games in that franchise if you count the expansion, which ended the franchise. And Deathloop is more of like, it's dealer's choice. I never played it, but some people loved it, some people hated. it's up in the air with that game. But with this, it's such a fall from grace for Arkane Studios. Like, you can tell this was not made by the people who made the Dishonored franchise. Like, the mobility system is completely out of whack. It seems like you're going from 0 to 1,000 miles immediately because the world is so large and empty that you need to move this fast. Even with the fast movement speed, you're still moving pretty slow. There's barely any fast travel stations, which you would assume that they would know about, considering that there are so many Ubisoft games that you can pick from who have mastered the open world formula. Yes, they're bland open worlds, but they know what an open world needs to have. And this game doesn't have any of that. The loot drops are incredibly inconsistent. Sometimes you will get an ultra rare weapon right out the bat, and sometimes you won't. And the enemy AI is just brain dead. Like, literally, like, the enemies you fight are not a threat. I've been fighting nothing but cultists and vampires, some variations of the vampires, but for the most part, they're stupid. Like, the vampires are not a threat. Like, all you need is a stake weapon and you stab them and they die. Like, I don't know if you're special or not, but as far as I can tell, you can burn them alive, get a bunch of Elon Musk flamethrowers, and start burning them. Like, this takes place in America. I would assume, like, guns would be very easy. Just attach a wooden stake to it and get stabbing. Like, they make it seem like everyone is on, like, the edge of oblivion, but these vampires are so easy to kill that you don't really see them as a threat. I killed 5 of them at once, and I'm just like, okay, why doesn't everyone just start doing this? And the cutscenes are also incredibly lazy. Like, the cutscenes are just these still images that flow from one to the next, and the acting is also very poor. It's like basically the voice actors were really psyched for this role, so they sound like they're just excited to be here. It's so uninspired and tasteless. Like, the presentation is just so poor. Like, are they trying to be serious? Are they trying to be goofy? Like, you have to dedicate yourself to one or the other. You can't be both at the same time. It's just so many of these aspects just don't work together. Like, I can see this game being fun if they had drop in, drop out co-op, but they don't. They don't have that. And when you have a game like Borderlands 2, which is discounted and you can probably buy for $10 on a good day, which has infinitely more content, has better shooting mechanics, better drop rates, and it's just such a superior game in every way, why would you play this over that? Like, I guess it's the new game, you know, the new game urge or the new game philosophy. Like, this is a brand new game. We want to play that. Everyone's already played Borderlands 2 to hell and back. But it's just like we're going back in terms of game development, releasing games that are broken, expecting them to get better, and then eventually they'll become better. That's not how things are going to work. It doesn't matter that Cyberpunk 2077 is in a better state than it launched. Everyone thinks it's a crap game. Jedi Survivor may be a great game with incredible combat, worlds to explore, and a fantastic story, but everyone's just going to remember it for the game that launched in such a poor state from an acclaimed studio. Respawn Entertainment. And they released this? What's going on? Arkane Studio, you guys made Dishonored. What the fuck happened here? And it's just such a trash fire. And the topping on this crap cake is literally that they're charging $70 to $100. It's more if you're in Canada. Like, if you're in Canada, I can only imagine how much this game costs, but dear Christ almighty. Like, I know people are going to say this is a Game Pass game, you shouldn't, like, care about that. That's the same argument people made for Netflix before Netflix started to die. It's just on Netflix, it doesn't matter. It does matter. When you're buying huge studios like Bethesda, id Software, Double Fine, like, you need to dish out your top games. You can't just say, oh, we are going to give you first-party releases. When your first-party releases are this, like, look what happened to Halo Infinite. Literally, like, what the hell happened? Like, they destroyed one of their top franchises with that game, and now it's getting even worse. You can't just use it's the Game Pass argument, because look what happened to Netflix when they used the argument it's on Netflix, so it doesn't matter. It does matter. Because you have to look at the quality control, because Microsoft has this hands-off approach, and a lot of people kind of like that because they assume like every company is like EA where they meddle in things, but you do have to manage your team. You have to look at this stuff and say, hey, this stuff doesn't, pair well. Like, Phil Spencer's a gamer. He actively plays games. He should have played this. Like, I doubt anyone in QA looked at this and said, yeah, this is ready for shipping. I'm 100% certain they said, if you ship this, it's going to be a shitstorm. And that's exactly what happened. And it's not going to get any better. I'm pretty sure this game is going to be dead. like in about a week. Like it's not going to have a big fan base. Like maybe when the co-op launches, there may be a resurgence. We've seen that with games like Battlefield 2042. When new content releases, there's a pickup, then it falls flat because a lot of people pick the content up and then they make content for it, or they play it and they experience it, and then they realize there are other options out there, because a lot of people, again, you're competing with so many other titles that you really just have to come out with your A game nowadays. And I get games are more expensive. I will happily pay $70 for God of War Ragnarok. I paid $70 for that game happily. It was an exceptional game. It was worth every penny. And I will gladly pay $70 for the next God of War game, because Santa Monica, they kick ass. They've delivered. But this studio, hell no. Why would I pay for this? Like, so many people are like saying, why do, even game journalists who entire purpose to review games, like Tom Henderson, who has Inside Gaming, a big outlet that covers leaked news before anyone else, is even saying, yeah, maybe I should just wait until the game is like a year old before I play it, because no one wants to waste their time, and most importantly their money. Like time, well, time and money is both important, but no one wants to waste either for something they have to wait a year before it works. Like, I get, as a content creator, I do have to decide with walkthroughs, guides, and all that, but that's my sphere of what I get the game on day one. Someone else, like an average consumer, they're going to be like, nope, not getting this, not my problem, I'm not wasting my time on this, goodbye. So, I'm just getting sick and tired of this. Like, it really hurts my heart. Again, I love Dishonored. I think it's one of the best games ever made. And to see Arkane Studios dish out this, it breaks my heart. Like, what the hell happened? This is like if Sucker Punch delivered a half-ass game with Ghost of Tsushima. Like Sucker Punch, the people who made Sly Cooper and Infamous. Like, that's another company. I would gladly pay $70 for a Sucker Punch game. It's freaking outstanding. An Insomniac game? Hell yeah. Because they have a reputation. Yeah, they had some hiccups like Insomniac with Fuse, but it's just not, it hurts your reputation, and once your reputation has been damaged, you have to work 3 times as hard in order to recover it. So that's it for this video. I went on a bit of rant because I really, I hate that this happened from a studio I love, and I hope they do better. In the words of Kratos, do not be sorry, be better. So that's it for the video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to do more general commentary. If there's a video or topic you want me to talk about, leave it in the comments below. And this is me signing out.